That's what extras do. The difference is a silent bit is one step above. You're not cast because you don't have any dialogue, but you're a waiter. And it's important that you do your actions correctly because it's part of the scene. So that elevates you. So if you're doing a silent bit, the waiter has to come over, wipe the table a certain way, fill the cups a certain way, and repeat it. So you're going to have someone you can rely on that doesn't just have to walk in the background. Right? So that's a silent bit. So you have that's a different class. So they get their own colors. So you go through your screenplay, and you underline stuff for each scene. And each and every scene gets one of these. Now, you do not start this process until you're done. This is the movie you're making. So you've rewritten your screenplay over and over till you're happy, which is again where Mr. Coppola effed up. Francis effed up Coppola. He shouldn't have started that process that he did with the screenplay he was unhappy with. He should have waited till he was happy with the screenplay. It would have saved him millions of dollars in a couple years of his life. He moved forward. Man, he just won 2 Academy Awards for Best Picture for Godfather. So I know what I'm doing. Overconfidence, whatever. Every scene gets one of these. This is why you wait till you're absolutely happy, because once you start doing this process, making changes starts to add a lot of labor. So, the draft here. I don't have the other draft. This draft is different from than this. What's different? What's the difference between this one and this one? What do you see?
Font?
No, font's exactly the same.
Highlighted.
Well, forget the highlights and the handwritten stuff. What do you see?
One's in that book.
This one has something. This doesn't.
Oh, this one has scene numbers.
This one's got scene numbers. This one does not. You do not put scene numbers on your screenplay that you want people to read. That's another sign of being an amateur. If you send a script off to a screenplay contest or to an agent and it's got scene numbers, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Recycle bin. So this is correct. No scene numbers. You don't want scene numbers when you want people to read it as basically as a story. You don't want to add any information that they don't need. You want them to read it and get excited about the story. This is known as, guess what? Shooting script. So when you're done with all your rewrites and you've made a clean copy of the script, the best you can get that you might send off to screenplay contests or to agents or what have you, if you're doing the Hollywood route, you have that copy, and then you add scene numbers if you're going to make the movie yourself, or because the production manager's job is to add the scene numbers, and sometimes they have to handwrite them. If in the old days, because they get the script, they're getting it from someone else. But nowadays, with things like Final Draft, you just number scenes, and if you formatted it correctly, it will automatically number your scenes because I've got everything tabbed correctly. So it says scene heading, and I've done it properly. It will just automatically put all the numbers there for me. And I'll save it as an alternative version. I'll save it as, guess what? Shooting script version of this. So this is my shooting script. So I have numbers on my scenes. So every scene gets one of these. And how do I know which ones are scenes and where they start and stop? Well, if I've properly formatted it, it's automatic. So this is my breakdown. So far, I'm not finished. I should have been. Had some setbacks. Like half my equipment burning up. So.
Oh, this is the, oh yeah, rugby one.
Yeah, so I'm about to make this movie. this is part of the process. So, script breakdown sheet. And I use my free copies. I use the same ones I'm giving you guys. Why would I go pay money for forms? So, I've got, now I skipped production company because it's, although I think I wrote it on a few. But the only time you really need to do that if you're doing several projects at once and you're a production manager, you want to make sure everything's there so you can glance at it. But I've got item 4. What goes there?
Name of the movie.
Yeah, and the production number, it says production title, so I've got Dropkick. That's my working title so far. Kind of like it. Subject to change. You never know until the film's released what the title is going to be. Don't. So the number would be like if I was working on a television series, they're going to have series numbers. So you'd have it would be like Matlock, number 100. Matlock. Breakdown page number. Well, I have my pages numbered. I guess I should grab number 1. So I know when I flip through that they're complete. Like, because these can rip out, I could be like, oh, page 4 is missing. And I know that because I bothered to write down and number my pages of the breakdown itself. So each one of these has a page number as I go through.
Would that not be the same as the scene number?
Absolutely not. It could be, except for what happens.
Oh, you
See that big X there? Yeah. Now I did that before I started doing my breakdown. So they start off, breakdown page 2 is scene 2. Just need to get those little circle repair things. Actually, a lot of people put them into plastic sleeves, which this will end up. Oh, you saw that on the Don Quixote movie. They were going through this stuff and flipping through it. He has all this. They were plastic sleeves so it doesn't run. So let's see. Already, I'm not that far in. I'm on breakdown page number 8, and I'm on scene 10. So there's going to be a discrepancy, usually, for one reason or another. Sometimes I've even realized I have one scene or I have several scenes that are flashbacks, and we see snippets of them. So what do? And I'm not even sure if this is correct. I just want to make sure I'm doing it for the way I want to. They probably should have gotten, but I've gotten them written. So 4, 16, and 44 are my scene numbers that go on my page 4. So this is where, because I'm going to shoot it all at the same time, because I'm at a restaurant in the Hofbrauhaus in Las Vegas, and in the screenplay, it's separate, but it's really the flashback to the same scene. So for me, I did it to make sure I would be clear, and I'm going to shoot it all at once. So I gave it basically one production page. Because even though it's numbered as different scenes, it's really one scene. That one when I go to film it. Is this making sense? Okay. So scene 1, page 1. Production company name, I wrote it on the very first page. Title, breakdown page number. Scene number, absolutely critical. Again, why you number the pages and you wait till you're absolutely ready with the shooting script that this is the one you want to, because if you start rearranging and rewriting, your scene numbers are going to change and it'll get really confusing. After this point, any changes, and I'm not saying that you're not going to rewrite. You're going to continue to rewrite while you're filming. You're going to continue to rewrite. After this starts to happen, though, all changes get different colored paper. So, and there's a system to that too, but we'll talk about that later. But just to say, you're going to do a rewrite after this process has started, you'll have 2 scene 1s. You'll have 5 scene 6s. You don't know. But your script pages, they'll come in different colors, and you'll see, like, especially troubled productions, it starts to look like a rainbow. Like the rewrites. So you can tell because this is already done. And once you write a scene number, you never change it. If you delete it, you fill this out and it says deleted. You don't change them, because you'll just confuse the hell out of yourself. So everything, once you assign these numbers, they stay the same. What you start doing is adding like scene 1A, scene 1A, scene 1B, you know, these things. That's how basically, and those are the different colors. So you don't change. So you don't end up with 2 scene 5s. Right? You've got a scene 5 and a scene 5A. So that's how you do it. Okay, so scene name. This needs to be exactly the same as what you've named it here. Do not change anything once you've changed it. Otherwise, you'll get confused. So this says rugby pitch, and this says rugby pitch. It doesn't get fancier. It doesn't name Esposito Field, which is where one of the rugby pitches in town is.
What if you have the same location and a different scene?
It still gets the same name, and what you're going to differentiate it by the scene number. So I have a lot of those, actually. I have a lot of Nana's house. I have Nana's house for scene 2. I have Nana's house for scene 7. Nana's house for scene 15. They're different scenes. They're different times, different things, different conversations happen there at the same location. Okay, so, and we're going to get to, when I start filming, these get reorganized. Not in this binder, they turn into something else. I'll just sort of skip ahead, because this will help clarify why and why it's useful as soon as I find it in this book. Each one of these becomes one of those. These get converted into your strips, which get put into your production board. And this is when you schedule, this is when you really schedule the movie, in the order you're actually going to shoot it. Because what you end up with is, and I'm bringing mine in, it's like in fact you can get different sizes, but they fold out and they have different number of panels. I got a relatively small one because I don't plan on having 238 days, and you get to see the entire movie, the entire schedule at a glance. You lay it out on a table, and there's the whole movie. This is the first step after you've got a screenplay. Now you guys have gotten 2 pages. You were at least 2 pages that you were required to have today. So I handed out 2 sheets. So guess what the next thing is? That's due next week. Hint, hint. You're going to fill out, you're going to break down your 2 pages. Or more, if you want, but you'll have to make photocopies. But I want to see 2 pages broken down. I want you to go through the process. And the key is all here. You've got the orange. We're going to finish going over this in the next 15 minutes. Okay, so you're going to write your scene down, interior, exterior. Well, that's easy. You've properly formatted. So you just look, and it says exterior. So you write exterior. By the way, you can also, if you have like certain things like if you're inside a car, but it's important to see something that's happening outside as well, I just do this.
Interior, exterior.
Interior, exterior, which happens sometimes. You're going to have to basically say, you know, if you're primarily in the car and what's outside doesn't matter, it's an interior. But if you're inside the car and you see someone outside, so you need, then it's slash, basically. Same thing if you're in a house and what's happening out the window. Just write interior slash exterior. So, this has got exterior, good. Then description. You're going to write something real short, so you don't have to flip back to, you don't have to go back and open up your screenplay to figure out what the hell this scene was about. Because I got, okay, it's for Dropkick, it's the rugby pitch, it's exterior, and I know it's scene 1, but what was it about? Oh yeah, rugby match, L unconscious. That's enough to tell me what I needed, enough to jar my memory. Oh yes, okay, clear. I know which scene this is. So, it's if I was a production manager doing it for someone else's screenplay, it would have more than that. I'm relying on the fact, I wrote this, I'm pretty familiar with this damn thing. I don't need much more than a few words. But you know, if it's someone else's screenplay you're breaking down, you're gonna make sure you have enough to really understand what's going on. Okay, so, day or night? Well, that's here. It's properly formatted. So this is really easy. A little monotonous maybe, but actually, again, I still have fun. I'm at a cafe drinking an Americano. You guys know what an Americano is?
Yeah, it's coffee and water.
Espresso and water.
Sorry.
Big difference. It's like,
I used to work at
I'm
Starbucks.
alive. Yeah, you should. And I'm sitting by myself, and this is the time that's relaxing, because as soon as I'm on the set, it's going to be a nightmare. You saw what Coppola was going through. We get whacked in the head with the light. People are constantly asking you questions. You don't have time to think. You can't hardly see straight. This is where you're sitting by yourself, figuring things out, doing this. So I'm sitting there. I write down, okay, it's day. Now, item number 11. What's that say? All right. I have 7/8 written there. What does that mean? So I'm imagining you guys had taken some math, and you recognize a fraction when you see it. But what is it? 7/8? What does that mean?
That's how big the scene is on that page.
Screenplays are broken down into eighths. Every page is an eighth. So that's how you break down your screenplay. Why? What's that telling me?
How long the screen?
How long the scene is, yeah, at a glance. So it's 7/8 of a page, which means it's almost a page, but it's not quite. It stops here. So it's 7/8. I tend to up it a little bit because I write very minimalist. So I know 7/8 of a page is really, I probably could have just put one page, and it still isn't going to cover the amount of time. But that's what you're trying to figure out. How much is going to be involved with filming this scene? So when I transfer it to my production boards, and I have my page count up here, at a glance I can be like, that's right, that's a whole page. And that's probably 2 days maybe. I don't know. It depends on how complicated. There's a lot of flexibility, but we're trying to make it into as much of a science as possible, because there's so much flexibility and subjectiveness, and I write a line that'll say like battle scene. So on the page count it's 1/8 of a page, but I might on the scene write 2 pages, knowing it's 2 days worth of production, right? So it's going to vary depending on writing style and who. Some directors write every damn detail into it, so you might go the other way. You might say, this is really only a day's worth of work. So even though they